What if sleep is not recovery time, but one of the main settings in the lifespan game? The quiet one. The one most people change every night without thinking. Meet Max Risk. He's 30 years old. Some nights is body, some nights is work, some nights is just his phone convincing him that midnight is still early. The problem is his alarm doesn't care. Max has to be at the office in the morning, so during the week sleep becomes the first thing he cuts. 5 hours here, 5.5 there. Then he tells himself he's catch up on the weekend. Now meet his neighbor, Mia Optimal. She lives in the same city, but her night looks completely different. Mia is not perfect. She still has late nights sometimes, but most nights her sleep has structure. Same bedtime, same wake up time, less chaos around the bed, which is why some call her boring. In this episode, I turn those two ordinary sleep patterns into a life XP simulation. Same starting point, different sleep habits. Final scoreboard at the end. Here the game rules. Max and Mia both enter the simulation as 30-year-old avatars. I use one shared baseline number, the official United States life expectancy estimate for 2024. In that report, life expectancy at birth was 79 years for both sexes combined. Women were higher, men were lower. But Max and Mia are not male versus female predictions. The rule is simple. If a study gives direct life expectancy yes, I use those yes. If a study gives mortality risk, I convert that risk into simulated life XP yes, using a simplified Gompertz Mayhem idea. In adulthood, mortality risk tends to rise exponentially with age, roughly doubling about every 8 years. So higher mortality risk moves the life clock forward. Lower mortality risk can move it back. First, I define the sleep range. The first study card is the 2015 consensus statement, recommended amount of sleep for a healthy adult, from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the Sleep Research Society. It says healthy adults should regularly sleep 7 or more hours per night. The second guidance card is the 2015 National Sleep Foundation recommendation, which places most adults in the 7 to 9 hour range. Mia usually lands around 8. That doesn't make her a superhero. It just means her sleep is inside the evidence-aligned range. She gets +0 years to her life expectancy. For now, her years counter doesn't move. Now the first red card loads. Max short sleep phase. In his early 30s, 5 hours becomes normal. Not because he has one terrible night, but because the pattern repeats. Late parties or phone scrolling. Office in the morning. Weekends catch up at the emergency patch. The main research card here is the 2025 Neuroscience meta-analysis. It compared short sleep, long sleep, and reference sleep duration across mortality studies. For short sleep under 7 hours, the estimate was 14% higher all-cause mortality risk compared with 7 to 8 hours. In life XP, that becomes about -1.5 simulated years on the years counter. The number isn't huge yet, easy to ignore. That's why the pattern can feel harmless while it's happening. Then Max's sleep pattern changes. In his 30s, he slept too little because life was noisy. Due to lack of sleep, Max regularly performed poorly at work. He doesn't get career advancement while others do. So at 42, he's fired. This changed his sleep. Max's life is empty, so he slept 10 hours a day. More time in bed, but not necessarily more useful sleep. This is where the U-shaped sleep curve becomes important. Then 2025 Neuroscience meta-analysis reported that long sleep, 9 hours or more, was associated with a 34% higher all-cause mortality risk. Life XP converts the long sleep card into about -3.5 simulated years. But duration is enough. Now the game stops asking only how many hours and starts asking what happened inside those hours. Mia has no sleep problems. She sleeps normally, so she gets +0 years of life. Max has problems. The long period of 5 hours of sleep in his youth starts showing up in his health profile. This is multimorbidity, when one health problem causes other in combination. The study card comes from the UK Biobank. Instead of only asking people how long they slept, the study used device measured sleep duration and sleep efficiency from 90,398 UK Biobank participants. participants. That study found mortality signals for abnormal sleep duration and lower sleep efficiency. In Max branch, the sleep quality card gets worse. Restless sleep, snoring, breathing pauses, and waking up tired after a long night. That opens the severe sleep apnea card. In LiveXP, that translates into about -7.5 simulated years. This is where the sleep starts stop being background noise. It becomes a recovery failure. Bad sleep doesn't stay in the bedroom. Bad sleep starts pulling on appetite, energy, and food timing. Max is 45. Due to poor sleep, Max eats at night. He eats breakfast late, which disrupts his metabolism. The mechanism is not mysterious. When sleep gets worse, hunger signals, craving, fatigue, and structure can move in the wrong direction. For moderate obesity, the public summary of that work estimates about 3 years lower life expectancy. So Max loses another 3 simulated years. Then the biggest hit of the episode loads. Type 2 diabetes. Max is 47. His glucose bar breaks. The study cards here large population level modeling across high-income countries and showed a clear pattern. The earlier type 2 diabetes appears, the larger the life expectancy loss. For people diagnosed around age 40, the estimated loss was about 10 years compared with people without diabetes. In Max Extreme Cascade, LifeXP records the early diabetes card as -10 years, the largest single drop. By this point, the story is no longer only about sleep. Next, the pressure system starts failing. Max is 50. Max's blood pressure is constantly elevated. It's even harder for him to sleep, and it's a vicious cycle. The study cards here is Franco and colleagues, published in 2005. The analysis compared life expectancy at age 50 for people with normal blood pressure versus people with hypertension. The result was roughly 5 years more life expectancy for normotensive adults compared with hypertensive adults. In the Max branch, the pressure system is now under load, so the hypertension card adds another -5 years to the counter. Now the severe case warning appears: stroke. In cardiometabolic multimorbidity research, diabetes, stroke, and myocardial infarction together are associated with very large life expectancy losses. At age 60, having any two of these conditions was associated with about 12 years lower life expectancy. Having all three was associated with about 15 years lower life expectancy. But we don't subtract that again. Max has already been charged for diabetes, obesity, hypertension, apnea, and abnormal sleep duration. So stroke appears as a consequence, not another stake subtraction. Now return to Mia. At 55 years old, her result is quieter, because good sleep usually does not create the same dramatic upside that major disease creates on the downside. Higher sleep regularity was associated with 20 to 48% lower all-cause mortality risk compared with the least regular sleep patterns. Mia protects duration and timing. She avoids recovery failure. I use the conservative end, so Mia gains 2.6 simulated years. A small upgrade from protecting one boring system for a long time. Let's see what the game did to their counters. And if you want more simulation like this, when I take one ordinary habit and run it through the science like a live sim experiment, subscribe to LiveXP. Now, final reveal. Mia starts at 79. With regular sleep, stable timing, and decent sleep quality, her counter moves to about 81.5 years. Now, Max. He also starts at 79, but then the losses begin to stack. Final Max counter 49 years. It is a miracle that Max survived until the end of our simulation. The gap between Mia and Max is roughly 33 years. Mia's win is quiet. Max' lose is cumulative. Sleep was only one stat. Next, I test the sun. Mia and Max will also be joining me in my science game LiveXP.